Hello everybody, this is the Cat-Based Games, and welcome to War Thunder 101. Here I will explain the ropes of how War Thunder exactly works, and in this episode I will explain the death mechanic of War Thunder, because it's different than most games. It's not a standard health pool system where you got a health pool of, let's say, 100 health, and if a weapon deals 10 damage you need 10 shots to bring it down, and if it's 0 you're dead. That's not the case. In this case, you need to destroy the tank by either burning it down by shooting the engine or fuel tanks, letting the ammo explode, or kill so many crew members that there's only one left. In this case, there are 5. In this case, there are also 5. Let's see here. In this case, there are 6. So in this case, you would have to kill 5 crew. In this case, 4. Let's see here. This also needs to kill 4. Most of the cases you need to kill 4, but in some cases you need to kill 3 or 5 or whatever. That said, we're gonna take a brief look at what crew member does what, and eliminating it does what, and how exactly to kill these in any way. Okay, first off, a tank, if you hit it at some point, is you're gonna encounter an armor value. The armor value, for example, right here is 120mm. If your shell cannot penetrate that 120mm, it will do no damage because it will be absorbed by the armor. Also, if you slope the armor, so in this case it is the thickness of a 120 plate, but because it's angle, it has an effective thickness of 179mm. You can see that on the little toolbar on the right of my cursor. So that said, if you, for example, hit somebody right here, it has much thicker armor plate than hitting someone right here, because the angle here is lower. That said, there's also a chance, if you're at a very high angle, or like right here, that the shot will bounce. And if you bounce, you will also deal no damage. The bounce angle varies per shell, but if you go for modification for this shell, for example, you go downwards, you got ABCBC, and then the armor piercing and damaging effect, and the projectile mass, muzzle velocity, explosive type and mass, TNT equivalent, fusillade, sensitivity. Those can be ignored for most of the time. But then you got angle of attack with 100% ricochet. If you attack somebody with a 90-degree angle, then you will it will bounce with 100% chance, a 50% chance at 27 degree, and a 0% chance at 42 degrees. So basically, this is 90 degrees, then you go to around 45, 42, then you still got 0 chance, but if it goes further, you get a pretty significant chance to bounce the shell and deal no damage. That said, once you penetrate the shell, you can get into the X-ray mode again and damage a unit. If you okay, these modules are right here, the gray things, all do have a standard health pool. So like 100 health, and what I explained earlier, that does apply to these parts. The first way to kill somebody is by blowing up their ammo. Bring one of these ammo storages to a 0% health. That is, if it's filled with ammo, because you can choose to bring less ammo than the maximum amount, and for example have these 2 little ones right here empty, and these ones full, and the ones underneath here full, so you need to hit one of these 4 instead of these 2 to kill somebody. Bringing one of these down will lead to an explosion in the ammo, and it will kill the entire crew, and the tank will be dead. Second way is to burn one down. That is to by hitting the fuel tank and hitting the engine of most tanks. If you hit them, you have a chance to get the enemy on fire, and if you hit it on fire, then they will need to have a fire prevention equipment that can, if they have it, they can turn off the fire, but they can only use that twice. So if you manage to hit that the engine 3 times, and it will set on the fire for 3rd time, the tank will burn down and it will die as well. Next up are crew members. Crew members are 5 types. First you got a driver, you got a gunner, loader, commander, and machine gunner or radio operator. The rules are straightforward. Driver makes sure your tank can move. The gunner, make sure the tank can shoot. The loader, make sure that you can reload. And the commander makes use of top machine guns if there are any there, and the machine gun in front makes use of front machine guns if there are any. But in this case, those 2 crew members are backup units for if one of these 3 main ones are eliminated. If you disable the driver of a tank, it will be immobilized for a few seconds until one of the other crew members can replace it. That means it will be stationary and it will provide an easier target. Although there is one more important target, which is the gunner. The gunner makes sure that the enemy can shoot back. If you cannot shoot back, you pretty much have a big chunk of metal that you can shoot at as target practice. The loader may increases the reload speed. If he is eliminated, the gun can still reload, but then the gunner has to do it, and it will be much slower. So it can be handy to eliminate the loader, so they will have a much slower reload, because it can be up to almost twice as long. Again, the commander, if you eliminate the commander and there's a top machine gun, then that top machine gun will be eliminated and unusable. I got a example for that. Let me look it up if I can find it. Right, here we go. No, customization, X-ray. Here we got our commander. If you look here, off, turn it off. You got a machine gun right here. If the commander is eliminated, that machine gun will be rendered useless and it cannot be used. And finally, we got the radio operator / bow machine gunner. The bow machine gunner is not really that important. It will make use of the bow machine gun if it's present. This case is an inactive one. This one is active right here. And right now it's just a backup member. With that said, you also got other parts. So first you got your fuel tanks, engine. Those are the things that can set you on fire. If you destroy the engine, in this case this tank is pretty special and it's really hard to destroy this engine, but for a normal one, if you shoot the engine and after it sets on fire, the tank will also be immobilized because the engine will be broken. The transmission is also a part that can immobilize a tank if destroyed. If you shoot this thing, they need to repair it, and until it's repaired, they cannot move. There's also have to say there's a rare chance that if you hit a fuel tank with an explosive round, that the fuel inside the fuel tank will burst, and that will also instantly kill the entire tank. Okay, next up we got ourselves our horizontal and vertical aiming drives. If you shoot the horizontal aiming drive, the tank will no longer be able to aim horizontally, and if you destroy the vertical one, it will no longer be able to aim vertically. We also got the cannon breech and barrel. If one of those two is broken, of course the cannon cannot shoot because the cannon itself is destroyed. But there's also a rare chance that if you damage a cannon breech, then if yours is damaged, you will get a warning that if you shoot, there is a chance that the ammo inside the barrel will blow up, and if that happens, you will die as well. So once it gets damaged, the cannon breech, I suggest not shooting anymore because you will pretty much die. And machine gun can be broken, but it's a really small chance. Next up we got our optics. Optics are simply parts that are kind of broken right now. They have a tendency to simply eat a shell. If a shell hits this optic, it has a chance to either eat the shell, or if the shell contents go down inside the turret and kill units that are right here. You also got radio stations, but those are similar to the optics. They don't really do anything, but they just have a tendency to eat shots from time to time. Same with radiators, don't really do anything, but can eat shots from time to time. Anyway, that said, I'm gonna actually leave. I'm gonna leave that for the next episode. But I'm gonna next up kind of take a look at ammo and the difference between different types of ammo and what they exactly do, and which one is better to to kill certain tanks. Anyway, thanks you guys all for watching, and I will see you guys all later. Bye bye.